Welcome back, Night Dwellers, to Simple Dark Stories. I'm your host, Mothy. In last week's Grin of the Drowned, Part 1, a simple vacation became a nightmare of lurking shadows, strange new friends, and a mysterious cave. Tonight, in Part 2, Ryan is about to learn that some things, once found, don't let you leave so easily. What he discovers in that cave will haunt him, and maybe even follow him. Be careful where you step. The tide is rising, and the darkness is hungry. The sensation of something brushes against his leg, smooth and firm, coiling around his ankle. Is that a snake, he wonders? His breath hitches, his heart pounds painfully. Nolan? Brax? He calls, his voice high and thin, like a wire stretched too tight. No answer. Only the darkness presses in, the walls growing narrower, colder. The air thickens, heavy with a metallic tang. His tongue tastes copper, the flavor sharp and unsettling. He takes a step back, and his heel strikes something hard. He looks down and sees a bone. Long, slender, pitted with deep, jagged grooves. Something scrapes against the rock behind him. He whirls around, his heart slamming into his ribs. A faint snap echoes from the depths, barely perceptible, but enough to freeze Ryan in place. Something is watching him. He can feel it. A sour taste floods his mouth, his hands shaking as he forces himself forward. His heart races, the sensation of being hunted gripping him tighter with each step. The wet grinding noise rises again, this time closer, making his skin crawl. The sour taste sharpens, his stomach twists in fear as it anchors him in place. Before he has time to bolt for the entrance, something catches him and pulls him down. The ground slams into him with a sharp pain as gravel digs into his skin. His breath leaves him in gasps as he tries to rise, but his ankle burns, twisted and useless. As he looks up, the shape dragging him comes into view. It's not Nolan or Brax, but the creature before him is twisted, a sickly parody of himself. Its jaundiced skin gleams with an oily sheen, its sunken eyes glowing with a malevolent fear. The air reeks of rot as its bony fingers dig into his skin, pulling him closer, its distorted grin growing wider. Ryan's breath quickens as the creature pulls him closer, its jagged nails digging painfully into his arm. The air around it reeks of decay, like rotting meat and seaweed, and he gags as the scent overwhelms him. The creature's skin, slick, clings tightly to its skeletal frame, veins pulsating. A wet grinding noise echoes in the cave, making his skin crawl. The sour taste sharpens, his stomach twists in fear. He bolts for the entrance, but before he can escape, something grabs his ankle, tripping him. The ground slams into him with a sharp pain as gravel digs into his skin. His breath leaves him in gasps as he tries to stand, but his ankle burns, twisted and useless. Someone grabs him by the arms and starts to drag him deeper into the cave. As he looks up, the shape dragging him comes into view. It's not Nolan or Brax. With his eyes now adjusted to the darkness, he sees the creature before him is twisted, a sickly parody of himself. Its jaundiced skin gleams with an oily sheen, its sunken eyes glowing with a malevolent hunger. The air reeks of rot as its bony fingers dig into his skin, its distorted grin growing wider. Ryan's breath quickens as the creature pulls him closer, its jagged nails digging painfully into his arm. The air around it reeks of decay, like rotting meat and seaweed, and he gags as the scent overwhelms him. The creature's skin clings tightly to its skeletal frame, veins pulsating beneath its thin flesh. Its mouth cracks open with a sickening snap, revealing rows of jagged, rusted fangs, each dripping with a thick mucus. Ryan watches in horror as worms squirm between its teeth, writhing with every raspy breath it takes. A cold, slimy tongue slithers out, brushing against his cheek, leaving behind a trail of viscous saliva. Terror roots Ryan in place, his body trembling. He tries to scream, but only a weak gurgle escapes. The creature's milky eyes glint with malice as it sinks its teeth into his forearm, tearing through flesh and muscle. Hot pain explodes through his body as blood spills out, soaking the sand beneath him in thick, dark red. Through the fog of pain, Ryan's gaze drifts into the depths of the cave. There, he sees them, dozens of glowing eyes, flickering faintly like embers in the darkness. The eyes are unblinking, watching him, waiting. Their yellowed glow reflects off the slime-covered rocks, the same malevolent hunger radiating from the shadows. Low, guttural breaths and wet grinding noises echo from the depths, growing louder as the creatures stir. Ryan's vision blurs, his heartbeat slows as the cold creeps up his limbs. The creature grins, its fangs glistening with blood, and in a voice disturbingly like his own, it whispers, "I'll tell Mother I ate with friends." Behind it, the glowing eyes shifted closer, eager for their turn. "Please," he chokes out. "Please, I just want to go home." "Home," the creature echoes, its voice merging with his, distorted and broken like a warped record. It takes another step forward, and this time, Ryan notices it's leaving no footprints in the sand, as if it isn't really there, as if it were a ghost or something far worse. He tries to move, to turn and run, but his body feels heavy like it's sinking into the sand. The cave seems to close in around him, the walls pulsating, breathing, alive with some dark intent. He hears whispers now, faint and insidious, curling around his ears, filling his mind with dread. They speak of hunger, of endless searching, of never being able to escape. Out of the corner of his eye, Ryan sees something just beyond the creature's feet. Desperation surges through him, giving him strength. He lunges forward, his fingers scraping against the damp ground, grasping the object. It's a bone, jagged and dirty, but in that moment, it feels like salvation. He swings wildly, blindly, and the creature recoils with a screech that makes Ryan's ears ring. It staggers back, clutching its face, dark liquid oozing between its fingers. For the first time, Rian sees something other than that horrible mocking smile. He sees fear. Seizing his chance, Rian scrambles to his feet and bolts toward the cave entrance. Each step feels like wading through thick mud, and the whispers grow louder, more frantic, clawing at his mind. He feels the creature behind him, its hot breath on the back of his neck, but he doesn't dare look back. All he can think about is the light, the warmth, the safety that awaits just beyond the darkness. He bursts out of the cave, stumbling into the harsh, blinding sunlight. The world outside feels surreal, too bright, too vivid. But as he turns, panting and gasping, he sees them, Nolan and Brax, standing motionless, their eyes blank and glassy. "Nolan? Brax?" Ryan calls out, his voice hoarse and raw. He takes a step forward, reaching out to them, but they don't move. It's then that he notices the thin, glistening line of blood trickling down their necks, staining the sand crimson. Their mouths move, but the words that come out aren't theirs. "You shouldn't have done that." A cold realization grips Ryan, and he stumbles back, his heart hammering in his chest. No, this can't be real." The creature emerges from the cave, its twisted form now almost identical to his, only the milky eyes giving away that the creature lurks beneath the skin. It smiles at him, and this time, Ryan can see bits of his own flesh caught between its teeth. "You can't leave," it whispers. "Not yet." And then, before Ryan can react, it lunges. The world spins and Ryan hits the ground hard, the wind knocked out of him. The sand feels rough, gritty against his skin, and the sun's warmth has turned into a suffocating heat, as if trying to burn him alive. He claws at the sand, trying to get up, but the creature is on him, its weight crushing, pinning him down. Its hands wrap around his throat, cold and clammy, and Ryan feels his vision blur, black spots dancing before his eyes. "No, please," he gasps, his nails digging into the creature's arm, but it was like trying to claw through stone. "Don't worry," it hisses, leaning closer. "I'll be you. I will be better, and no one will even notice you're gone." And in that moment, as the darkness closes in and Ryan's strength fades, he understands. This isn't just a monster. It's something older, something that has been waiting, watching, feeding off the fear of children who wander too close to its lair. It has no face of its own, no identity, no life, only the ones it steals. The last thing Ryan sees before everything goes black is his family, far off in the distance, laughing carefree, oblivious. And as the creature's cold, dead eyes bore into his, he knows that when they call for him, when they ask where he's gone, they will only hear his voice calling back from the shadows. That concludes today's episode. Join us again next week for another spine-tingling tale on Simple Dark Stories. If you enjoyed this and would like to help out, please give us 5 stars and tell us what haunts your dreams. Until next time.